Let's podcast. Alongside Joe Giglio, I'm Joe Ovies. We are inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh. Thanks to Empire Properties and thanks to Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. Print management, document management, save money. 2025 is coming to a close. You're probably looking back on the year that was. You're looking for ways to save money in 2026. Real easy solution. Cut down on the print costs. Send everything that you need into the cloud and get efficient. And it all starts with a visit to copiers-plus.com. We will revisit some after dark shenanigans from Saturday as the Triangle Schools decided to bless us with just a no good, terrible Saturday. But it certainly sets up all the feelings and takes for the next couple of weeks. We got Duke Carolina on Saturday. Then we got State Carolina the following Saturday. Who could ask for anything more here in the Triangle, right? ECU might sneak into the conversation. Whoa. We'll got a little bit of hoops. We've got a Reckoning Alert Day. NC State's back in action. And more reasons why Caleb Wilson is the best. And yeah, the Carolina Hurricanes at the quarter pole as they get ready to go on a 4-game road trip. But let's start in the NFL, Joe, where I wake up this morning still confused by many of the things that I witnessed on Sunday.
Well, it was a confusing Sunday in the NFL, so you have every right to be.
We wake up in a world where the Bears are somehow 7-3.
They are leading the NFC North.
Okay.
Yes.
The Colts have not stopped. They're still cruising along. They're at 8-2. The Patriots looking like they're going to win the division after the Buffalo Bills continue to give you pause to get behind them. That was a hell of a game between the Buccaneers and the Bills. But once again, showing you that as it relates to the Bills and their flaws, especially when it comes to stopping the run, yikes. And they still need Josh Allen to just play otherworldly to find themselves in a position to win, which is exactly what he did on Sunday. But we also live in a world in the NFC where the Carolina Panthers are at 6-5. They're still in contention for the NFC South, something that we were not expecting after they lost to the Saints this past weekend, the weekend before. They still got 2 games against the Bucs remaining. That'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I'm not making any more predictions with the Carolina Panthers because every time I've tried to look ahead with the Carolina Panthers, they confound you. Honestly, when it comes to the Carolina Panthers, most of us look like the 2 officials at the end of this win over Atlanta. Because if you missed it, because I was confused too, where they had the game-winning kick in overtime.
Pretty clearly went through.
Whatever the mascot's name is, I'm going to call him MC Hammer. I forgot what the Falcons mascot's name is. The West Durham, the Falcon.
Birdie?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
Either way,
Dirty Bird.
The Dirty Bird knew it was good because the Dirty Bird dropped when he saw that thing go split the uprights. But the 2 officials were like, did you see it? I don't know. Did you see it? I don't know. Maybe. And they lingered, the television broadcast lingered on those officials. And I was like, is this thing done? Because everybody's acting like it's done.
Panthers were clearly celebrating.
It must be the case, right? So anyway, the Panthers are at 6-5. They have a similar record to many of our NFL, NFC darlings, like the Green Bay Packers, okay? Or the Lions, another darling, okay? Hell, they got a better record than the Chiefs, which put a pin in the Chiefs. We'll get to that a little bit later on. So this has just been a weird NFL, and the Panthers are right there in line with all the weirdness in the NFL. And now we also live in a world where Bryce Young is your new franchise record holder with 448 passing yards, 30 of 45, 3 touchdowns, no turnovers, a passer rating of 123.2. Previous franchise record was 432, set by Cam Newton. And if you really want to bring it all home for all the good feelings in Atlanta, because there's one thing that Carolina Panthers love to do, and that's stick it to the Falcons. And if you want to rekindle those vibes from 10 years ago, not just opening up a 10-year-old Bud Light 50, Super Bowl 50 can, okay? I got 2 more on the way, by the way. Bryce Young in Atlanta hit the dab. Tell me you weren't bringing it all home. I saw that video. I saw that move. I haven't seen that move in 10 years. Bam! That was fun to see. But after that, hey, man, I'm week to week with the Panthers. I've learned my lesson. I'm week to week with them, man.
It's not that confusing, though. Because you remember there was a former ESPN guy who works at Syracuse who was like, hey, I got a great idea.
Yeah.
Why don't Duke and Carolina basketball play 7 times a year?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if I'm the Panthers, I'm advancing to the Falcons. Hey, can we play 7 times a year, please?
You're referring to John Wildhack, who's the AD at Syracuse.
Sure.
But yes.
But it's like, hey, if I'm the Panthers, if I'm Dan Morgan, if I'm Tepper, I'm like, hey, we could go about this 2 ways. Either I want to play you 7 times a year, or could I interest you in a quarterback? Because Bryce Young in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, phenomenal, other than, of course, his first NFL start. Let's throw that one out. Let's throw that one out. Because now you have in his last 2 starts there, Joe, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions, 448 yards, 251 yards. Okay? That's for last year's win, both overtime wins. Go back to the 2021 college football season. Bryce Young was your Heisman Trophy winner. Began the year with a win over Miami in that building where he threw for 4 touchdowns and 344 yards. Ended that year with a win in the SEC championship game in the same building with 3 touchdowns, 421 yards. He's got 16 touchdowns and no interceptions in 4 of his last 5 starts in that building. Okay? So the real error here, short of the Panthers getting the NFL to play 7 times in that building, the Falcons need to trade for Bryce Young post haste.
Yeah.
And just to make it even more clearer for you, in 35, let's give you some numbers first from Bryce Young.
Okay.
This is Bryce Young against the Falcons. 67, because completed 67% of his passes.
Mm-hmm.
He throws for 226 yards per game. He has 7 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That's in 5 starts. Okay. And 35 starts against the rest of the NFL. Completion percentage still respectable, but it's 60%. So it's lower. It's 50 fewer yards per game. He averages 174 passing yards per game against the rest of the NFL. And then the touchdown interceptions are 33-24. 35 starts, 33 touchdowns. 35 starts, 24 interceptions. Okay. Those numbers against the rest of the NFL are very pedestrian. And now everyone's favorite stat, quarterback wins. 5 games against Atlanta. Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers, 4-1. 35 games against the rest of the league, 8-27. They've won 22% of their games against the rest of the NFL. So, David Tepper, I give you a challenge. You either figure out how to play the Falcons 7 times a year, or you figure out a way to trade Bryce Young to the Atlanta Falcons.
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports phone and curse or don't.
All right, let's go to the OG Sports phone. It's brought to you by our friends at Nature's Relief. You can check them out online at naturesreliefhempstore.com. That's RELEAF hempstore.com. They'll even deliver to a 919.
What's going on, Joes? It's Will from Smithfield with immediate post-game thoughts from the Panthers game. I was preparing to call in at halftime because this game had all the typical signs of a Panthers blowout, just a total embarrassing performance. And that's not what happened. They found a way to come back and win. And yes, I know it's Atlanta, and Atlanta's not that great, and the Falcons did some very Falcons things, especially in the second half. But man, that was cool. The Panthers came back. Bryce had some very critically bad Bryce moments, but you got to love the guy who fought through it. He had the ankle injury. He threw for over 400 yards after all season, barely scratching the surface of like 150, 175. Now he throws over 400 yards. So look, there's a whole conversation we had about Bryce, but man, got to give him credit for what he did today. So vibes are good for the Panthers for one more week. Who knows what next week will bring, but it's cool for right now. Thanks, guys. Love the show. Take care.
So it's interesting. There are 2 ways to look at this, and I'm trying not to be so pessimistic about stuff this week or not be so jaded about things this week. I'm trying. We're getting into the holiday spirit, Joe, so I'm not going to be Scrooge. I mean, Thanksgiving's next week, and we got Christmas. I'm putting lights up around the house. Like, I'm trying not to be Scrooge. I promise. I really, really promise you. Yes, there is a Falcons element to this. Earlier in the year, the Falcons falconed. It wasn't like the Carolina Panthers were all that impressive. They didn't have to be because the Falcons just falconsed all over themselves. All right. In this game, it did not get off to a great start. Michael Penix, Bijan Robinson were doing what they wanted to do against the Carolina Panthers in this game. And then things turned, right? Things turn when Michael Penix goes out. And for a second there, when Bryce looked like he was dealing with ankle issues and was going to be missing the game, we were staring in the face of spending our Sundays watching Kirk Cousins and Andy Dalton duel it out. Okay. I mean, we were looking at, when I saw Andy Dalton warming up, I'm like, oh man, we're in for a doozy here. Where's my nature's relief? Because I'm going to need something to watch this. Okay. Now, the Falcons absolutely falconed. But here's the one thing that I think is underappreciated or under-discussed. It's not appreciated by Bryce Young. We spent the better part of 3 years discussing Bryce Young's stature, his physical attributes. He's small. He's going to get murdered out there. That offensive line. Yeah. You know, I mean, how many times have we had that discussion? He doesn't look like an NFL player when you size him up to everybody else. Okay. You know what Bryce Young really hasn't spent time doing in the last 3 seasons? He hasn't spent time on the sidelines hurt. Say what you want about Bryce. There is a level of resiliency in Bryce Young that I've been impressed by the last 3 seasons. Let's strip it all aside. Strip all the stats aside. Your favorite thing, the QB wins with a Z. Strip all that out. Bryce Young has absolutely been a badass on a variety of levels, handling a benching last year and just waiting for his opportunity to get back in there, and things turned around. And that's honestly what led to the optimism going in this year. But it didn't look like he was going to be back out there, as the coaching staff was trusting Andy Dalton a hell of a lot more than Bryce Young. And if it wasn't for that car accident, we might not have seen Bryce Young the rest of the season. All right. But Bryce
To Andy Dalton.
Yeah. So Bryce hunkered down, never imploded. I guess what I'm getting at here is that Bryce has never spiraled out. Bryce has never crashed out. Bryce has never been like, holy crap, that was like, we got to bench him immediately. It's over. He's always found ways to bounce back. Number one. Number two, physically, he has not had any issues, which is one of the things that everybody was obsessed about when he got drafted. Yeah. You look at CJ.
So it was a logical concern.
I mean, you look at CJ in Houston, right? So you look at Stroud in Houston. He's been hurt the last couple of seasons, including this year. So these are things that, you know, as everybody does all these comparisons, that's not something he has dealt with. So I give Bryce Young a lot of credit on that one. And yeah, when the opportunity was there against Atlanta, took advantage of it. Let's go to an 828.
Hey guys, Will from Wilkesboro. It's pretty clear that this can't be a run-dominated offense. It can't be a pass-dominated offense. It's got to be a little bit of both. I mean, anytime the run offense goes off, Bryce Young has under 150 yards. These guys today just kind of showed what this team's been all about. Love to see it. Go Thurs.
Got to do it consistently. That's the thing. Let's go to one more.
You know, just calling, you know, something came up watching that Panthers game today. And just thinking about it, you know, Bryce Young is pretty similar to Dave Dorn in a few kind of key aspects along their careers. It feels like that whenever.
Whoa.
I'm pausing.
Wait, first of all, wait, what? Second of all, is Dave about to catch another stray? Like how? Bryce Young had a career day, you know. So yeah, I got to see how this comes home. I'm now, my curiosity is piqued.
I want Dorn to keep that job forever because I want to see how far we'll go as sports fans in this market, sports fans in this state. We'll see how far we can go to make it about Dave Dorn catching a stray. All right, let's continue with the call.
That we're kind of over one of these two guys. Their job might be in jeopardy. The future isn't looking bright. Here they both come, and they both deliver performances that are just huge. And you have to say, well, look what they just did. Look in the future. And I think it also kind of helps that you're doing it to the team, the other team that matters the most to your fan base. Because, God damn it, I can't stand the Falcons, and I can't stand UNC. So, man, while I may not like what these two guys do sometimes, I sure do respect the hell out of them when they go down there and they clobber UNC or they go beat the Falcons. You know, just a little comparison there to think about. Have a good day.
Not astray. All right.
Not astray. Yeah, no, that was okay. I see the point being made. And I've seen a little bit of this in social media, and I'm trying my best not to get too wrapped up in some comments on Instagram or TikTok and things like that. Because the algorithm does a funny thing in that, the points that we were making about Bryce Young last week and his inability to throw the deep ball, either he can't do it or Dave Canales doesn't believe he can do it. One of those things has to be true. Or the wide receivers that they were banking on developing and being the guys that could separate and allow for Bryce Young to continue the momentum from last year. That hasn't been the case for most part of the year. What bothers me is all those things are still true. And one game against the Atlanta Falcons doesn't necessarily negate all the things that we've seen already this season. But that's not how the algorithm works. That's not how fandom works, especially when you're flailing around grasping for something to be positive about. And when you see Bryce do this, if anything, if you want my immediate reaction to what happened yesterday, I had the thought of what you talked about regarding Mario Cristobal and Miami. We're like, wait a minute. You're capable of absolutely embarrassing NC State.
Yeah,
you're capable of this, and yet we have examples where it's just like, no, you should be fired that you cannot do that all the time, right? Well, I had the same thought in the second half as they're spraying it around and basically utilizing everybody. And Bryce Young's making incredible throws to Xavier Legette. I mean, like Jalen Coker with a 2-point conversion. I'm thinking
Tommy Tremble's
getting involved.
Mothballs.
I'm thinking to myself, where the fuck was this against the Saints? They sold out to stop the run, and you didn't know what to do, right? We're going to keep doing this. I don't know. Maybe it's because they found themselves once again in a situation where they were down a couple of scores, that they had to put Bryce in that situation, much like in Arizona, where you find yourself in scramble mode and you got to put yourself in comeback mode, and it leaves you no choice but to go out there and start throwing the ball.
What I hear you saying is Bryce Young is my champion for perfect conditions. You just said Arizona, right?
Yeah.
The game was in a dome.
It was in a dome.
Atlanta in a dome. All right. Bryce Young is my new champion. I love it.
Okay. All right. Enough of that. Speaking of perfect conditions, it seems like the Chiefs need perfect conditions to win close games. Because remember, we spent a good chunk of last year and a little bit of the year before that obsessing over, are the Chiefs getting all the breaks? Are the officials helping them out? It's the classic, how do they keep getting away with this in these close games in the NFL? And they took it all the way to the Super Bowl. But it looks like things have caught up to the Chiefs this year. Chiefs are 0-5 in one-score games. Combine that with a defense that's not at its peak that we've seen the last couple of years to get them out of those one-score games. That is not something that the Chiefs can rely upon. We saw that against Denver, in which they had multiple opportunities to ice the Broncos and failed to do so. Defensive breakdowns, chances for Patrick Mahomes to do some magic didn't necessarily happen. The Chiefs, if they're going to make the playoffs, and I've seen the joke, I am very much looking forward to the Chiefs being road favorites 3 times in a row once we get to the postseason. But they have to make the postseason is the thing. And if they're not as good as they once were, if they're finding themselves on the wrong end of these one-score games, they might not make the playoffs at all, which is still, I almost feel like I could take back my hot take because I took back my hot take. Now I want to take that back because at the beginning of the season, I said, watch the Chiefs not make the playoffs as all the things that they've been blessed with go away in a much more difficult division. And here we are, with the Chiefs having a little bit of an existential crisis as to what the rest of the year is going to look like.
If you just go by the Chiefs schedule you say those one-score games, you're like, okay, the Chargers in the opener,
yeah,
good playoff team. Philadelphia won the Super Bowl last year.
Sure.
Buffalo, Super Bowl favorites this year. Denver, best record tied for the best record in the AFC.
Mm-hmm.
The other close loss, though, was the Monday night game against Jacksonville. Well, right now, that's the difference between Jacksonville being in the playoffs and the Chiefs not.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So obviously their schedule has been difficult, but they're used to winning those close, difficult games. And it's not happening for them this year. And a couple of weeks ago, it was like, hey, now, wait a second. Our offense is all fixed. Well, you'll see. We got
guys back.
We got guys back. We got guys off of the jail blotter. Travis Kelce's found new life now that his fiance has complimented his manhood and all this other stuff. But you watched that game yesterday, and Denver is very good on defense. Don't get me wrong.
Sure,
the Colts found a way to move the ball on them.
That's the thing.
I mean, other teams have found a way to move the ball.
You have Patrick Mahomes. You're supposed to be able to move the ball when you have Patrick Mahomes. And to your point, they were bringing guys back. So you're thinking, here they are turning a corner. So I don't necessarily think it's the offense. I know Patrick Mahomes said yesterday a lot of this on him. I get all that kind of stuff. But this Chiefs defense, which was their secret sauce the last few years, so that they could just put Mahomes in a position to do the Mahomes magic.
Yeah, the game was tied. They got the ball back last night, and he did nothing. They went 3 and out. He got sacked.
So this is a team effort, if you will. The defense is not as good as it once was, and Patrick Mahomes is also kind of going through it right now. I'm not saying he's washed. I'm not saying that his magic is over. I'm just simply saying that the Chiefs are going to have to take a real serious assessment of where they are and really reboot themselves under Andy Reid for whatever this next iteration of the Chiefs. Because that's the great thing about Tom Brady. You don't get to all those Super Bowls without various iterations of that Patriots team. So what's the next iteration of the Chiefs going to be? But we were talking about this before we hit record. Can you explain? Can you tell me in the AFC how any of this is going to play out?
I would not be surprised by any number of outcomes in the AFC from the Colts running it all the way,
or they might just
Denver,
be frauds once they get to the postseason. I don't know.
Denver and Sean Payton doing it.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Bills would seem like a surprise at this point because of the way they play defensively. The Chiefs would seem like a surprise because it just feels like everything has caught up to them. But was it 3 years ago when they beat the 49ers? And remember, in the middle of that year, they were just a very ordinary football team.
Yeah.
And they flipped the switch all of a sudden. And it was like, oh, if only.
The Bills?
Their defense is so many questions. So many questions.
I mean, look,
what might help them?
What might help them? Oh boy, what?
It might help them to be the wild card.
In what sense?
I mean, your kicker can't make a fucking kick in the freezing cold.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So you know the only time Aaron Rodgers won the Super Bowl? Wild card. They played every game on the road. I'm pretty sure all of them were in a dome.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember if they were all in a dome or not. But
I know Atlanta was.
Yeah.
I know the Cowboys were.
Yeah.
So no, the first one might have been Tampa,
maybe.
But either way, it was
good conditions down in Tampa.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It might actually help the Bills.
Yeah, I don't know. Look,
who and plus you've been there with the pressure when you feel that pressure in the stadium. It just becomes like, oh God, not again.
So, and I guess the Bills, there's a lot of NC State in the Bills. In that you go to Lenovo Center and you hear that loud sucking noise. That's everybody freaking out about the officials and everything else. I mean, maybe that's what affects the Bills. I mean,
and maybe somebody else will take care of the Chiefs, or the Chiefs won't even get in.
Well,
so you see what I'm saying? Like maybe it opens up for the Bills, where you end up playing the Colts or somebody on the road, and you're like, we could beat these guys.
Of course, we're saying all this, and you've got. It's interesting. I have more confidence in the Eagles, who are essentially having a repeat of last year. All right.
No, they're not as good defensively or offensively this year.
But the thing is,
they're still winning games.
They're still winning games, and they're doing it.
They've become the Chiefs.
But the Eagles the Eagles operate on dysfunction now. That's where I say, well, the Eagles are just doing Eagles things under Nick Sirianni. We all know people. Like, I'm going to go full Colin Cowherd.
Well, early last year there was concerns, but they turned it on with Barkley last year.
Let me go full Colin Cowherd. It reminds me a lot of ... Right? We all know the couple that operates on drama all the time.
Sure.
Like, it's a roller coaster of emotions. Apparently, the only way they can get really going is if they find themselves in an argument or something like that, and they make up. And I feel like that's the Eagles for the most part. Is like, oh, geez, what kind of drama is going on now, right? And that's how they operate. I will say this though about the Eagles: they're winning. This, I get your points about who they are and what they've been and all this other kind of stuff. And there's all the drama around AJ Brown. Their schedule is as difficult, if not more difficult, than last year, and they're still finding ways to win over these other darlings. So if this is how they're going to be, which was similar to last year, who am I to go against what's happening? They're still Super Bowl contenders. Same with the Chiefs. We can spend all this time talking about what's wrong with them. And we can spend all this time saying, hey, man, that magic has run out. You're not winning these one-score games like you were last year. And yet, as we discussed with the AFC, once it comes to playoff time and that pressure, and you got to get over, you actually have to get over on the Chiefs. Who's to say that? That's why these regular season games between the Bills and the Chiefs don't mean anything to me. We've seen this before. So can you do it when it matters in the postseason? And I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, they're similar in this sense. The Eagles, the Super Bowl still runs through the Eagles. They're going to have to be eliminated. And it's going to take your best shot to eliminate them for all of their problems and all of their faults this year. You wake up this morning on November 17th. They are now the Super Bowl favorites at 5-1.
Yeah.
Followed by the Rams. And then the AFC favorite actually is back to the Bills at 8.5-1. Yesterday, you could have gotten that Bills ticket for 10-1. It's just how volatile it is right now.
Yeah.
Housekeeping
is brought to you by our friends at Inovana. Check them out online at inovana.com.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean with Inovana.
You know what? It's actually time for a meeting. Let's have a meeting, shall we?
We're having a meeting.
We're having a meeting. So we got a double on Saturday. We got the Raleigh Christmas Parade Saturday morning. We'll be live on YouTube. It's kind of a Hayes Permar show. You'll be the man on the street. I think I got the logistics figured out.
Okay.
And then we have an after dark.
Tuesday morning, what time?
Well, I mean, the parade starts at 9:30, but in order to like find parking and get set up, you probably need to be there like at 7:30 at State of Beer.
Okay.
Think you can handle that?
I'll bring the Blue Weller.
I mean, this should be in your wheelhouse. It's early morning. You should be fired up and ready to go. Okay. Your juices flow at 7:30.
Juices flow in the morning.
And then we have an after dark following the stake.
That could be tough if there's a morning Blue Weller.
It could be. So you might want to protect yourself and wait until we get to the Duke Carolina game after dark on Saturday. Maybe
that would interfere with the fun we would have at the parade. There's a nap.
There we go. Just nap. You have plenty of time between 7:30 in the morning and then probably around 7:30 at night. You got time, Joe.
Okay.
You got time. The other thing to keep an eye out on is the following week for Thanksgiving. This is where we get into meeting mode.
Having a meeting.
I propose, do we have a quorum?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We can have official business here, LLC business. I propose we do a show Monday and Tuesday. We do a normal show on Monday because anybody can podcast on a Monday. And then we do a mailbag on Tuesday. And then we shut it down for Thanksgiving until Saturday following the State Carolina game. Does that sound good? All right. Thumbs up. Let's get after it. Another note, OGTriangleMediaShop.com. That's the OG winter pop-up shop. Full zip hoodies, drunk OG pullover hoodie, beanies, toboggans, whatever you want to call them. I don't care what you call them. Just buy them. So head on over to OGTriangleMediaShop.com. You got any other dates that we need to be concerned with before we move on?
No, I think that covers November.
All right. Then we're good. Oh, then we also have to figure out, we can discuss this when we get into December, how we want to handle Christmas protocols. And I have not.
I got some dates.
I have
on some of these calls because we need the calls of the year this year.
Right. I was gonna say I have not thought about the year in review at all. At all. I take that back. I actually have jotted down a few things regarding the year in review. So I have Belichick, Will Wade, Cooper Flagg, Miko Rantanen and the Canes, Doran's Future, and the Hubert reboot. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 10.
No, you don't need 10. Everyone else does 10.
So
we do our own countdown.
What do you just want to go on vibes for that?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
we got 6. We got 6
but
stories of the year.
That's the basic, though. There's some other things in there, right? Maybe. Are we missing anything?
When do you want to run those?
Again, that's the thing. I don't know.
Christmas.
We could do it the week.
Because you got to be able to open up your gifts and watch the OG. It's a tradition unlike any other.
OG Under the Tree, which gets us back to the OGTriangleMediaShop.com. The OG Winter Pop-Up. You want OG Under the Tree. Can you imagine watching our year in review on Christmas morning, opening up a gift and it being a hoodie? That would be amazing.
Shit, I do this for a living.
Speaking of doing things for a living, that is what Matt Davis does. He saves money for
Saves
a living.
you money is what he does for a living.
That's what he does for a living. For real. Call Matt Davis at State Farm, 919-779-8277 or insuregarner.com. Again, that's 919-779-8277 or insuregarner.com. Speaking of picking up things under the tree, the Black Friday sale is underway already at our friends with Roback. Go to roback.com. Use our promo code OG20
No.
when you're done with the sale.
Yeah, they got too much going on right now.
Okay.
Big
OG20.
savings.
OG20 is something you get for yourself when the Black Friday savings are over.
Yes.
Okay. So save that. Save that. In the meantime, just go to Roback, buy yourself some stuff, buy your friends some stuff, your family some stuff, and of course, tell them we sent you. That's always important. So go to roback.com. And of course, our friends at Happy Inhale, check them out. Download the app. Use our promo code OG25 to save 25% your first order.
break. Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy Inhale.
A little behind the scenes, I took a hockey break, a youth hockey break in the middle of the recording of today's podcast. Does it amuse you?
It does.
Joe
Ovies, hockey dad.
Does
Da,
it-
da, 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 da.
Does it really amuse you when you see me go into hockey dad mode?
Mhm.
Like I had to just now?
Mhm. Mhm.
This is it for me, by the way.
This year?
I'm retiring.
No.
I'm retiring after this year.
Don't do that.
I'm not going to be a manager after this.
Don't do
It's that simple. In the meantime, I mean, honestly, I need a break from all the brown food that I consume when I'm at hockey tournaments. And I come back and I'm like, oh man, I need the smoothie from Happy Inhale. So check them out. Download the app. Use that promo code OG25. Yeah, speaking of the After Dark, again, we'll have another one on Saturday after the Duke Carolina game. I'm not sure how it's going to top the triple flush that we had on Saturday with North Carolina losing to Wake, NC State getting housed by Miami, and Duke having a no-show against Virginia. It does set this up, though. Shout out to our guy Michael. Michael years ago helped we reclaimed the drunk wolf.
Okay.
Michael took that image and we've since kind of reworked it, remixed it.
Yeah.
Well, Michael sent me a new graphic as we get into the last 2 weeks of the regular season.
Okay.
And it's Carolina and NC State 6-7 or bust, 11-29-25. For those not watching on YouTube, it is a Carolina player and an NC State player with bags over their head. And they are with the blue bandana and the red bandana, like a very famous gang truce where they tied the bandanas together. And we get this triangle good encapsulated in this image as we get ready for one state Carolina game to see who can get into a bowl. Right? So that's where we're at. You either get the triangle football dynamics or you don't. You either put your arms around it or you don't.
The hugging.
And thankfully, our audience gets it. Put your arms around it. That's where we are at. There's a lot of follow-up calls from our After Dark on Saturday, which we'll play here in a second. But the ACC provides in terms of its wackiness. The ACC provides in terms of tiebreakers. And we are... I still think we're headed for a Miami college football playoff appearance.
Okay.
But I know there are some permutations here. We got 4 teams still in the mix here?
We got 4 teams with 1 loss.
4 teams with 1 loss.
And unfortunately, or fortunately, 2 of them play each other in
Right.
Georgia Tech and Pitt.
Yeah.
So we do get that.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, amongst this group, that's the only game that you'll get as an interconnector. Okay. So simple enough. Georgia Tech beats Pitt. They are in the ACC championship game. They will have completed their ACC schedule at 7-1. They would have the tiebreak over either Virginia or SMU based on the Deacons. Yes, the offsides call that wasn't will be the reason.
You good?
No, I'm caught up on the road.
Okay.
Will be the reason that Georgia Tech ends up in Atlanta scot-free at 7-1. Now, you're wondering, okay, well, what do we do about Virginia and SMU? Virginia and SMU. Well, they have a common opponent in Wake Forest who they both lost to.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to get us to, drum roll, please, the conference record, the win percentage of their opponents in conference record. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
If Virginia wins out, they close the season with Virginia Tech. That's their last ACC game. The win percentage of their opponents right now is 44.2%. SMU, who still has to play Louisville and Cal, so they could lose one of those games. SMU, the conference win percentage of their opponents is 40%. So by the win percentage tiebreak, Virginia would have the tiebreak over SMU. So we're looking at a Georgia Tech Pitt winner, potentially, because Pitt, remember, still has to beat Miami.
Right. Just go out and beat Miami.
So let's make it as simple as it can be. Georgia Tech wins, they're in.
Yeah.
Virginia wins, they're in.
Okay.
So we will be looking at Virginia against Georgia Tech in Charlotte. And that lines up with the betting odds, because they always do. Odds to win the ACC, Georgia Tech plus 165. Odds to win the ACC, Virginia 240.
Mm-hmm.
Odds to win the ACC, Pitt plus 1,000. Because they still have to play both Georgia Tech and Miami.
I know I like to say there's something on the internet for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Is your kink tiebreakers? Nothing makes you feel alive. What actually makes you feel more alive?
We've got an American one too.
Yeah, no, we'll get to the American one in a second. What makes you feel more alive? What makes you feel more alive? Going through a schedule or tiebreakers?
It's one and the same.
Tiebreakers add an element of math that just going through a schedule does not do.
I know.
You know? It's like, how deep in the weeds can we get with the tiebreakers? Oh, common opponents, differential. When do we get to the coin flip?
Oh, man. But Patrick Stevens and I have been waiting forever for the coin flip.
Speaking of ECU, I feel like this call gets us to the ECU tiebreaker American situation, which I know you referenced this on Saturday during the After Dark. I feel like it needs a little bit more of an explanation.
Meh. UNC. Meh. Duke. Good God. I mean, talk about blowing it. Meh. Wake Forest. Look, some of us watched the NC State Wake Forest game. State was the better team. I would still say that State would beat Wake Forest today. That is not it's not a good Wake Forest team. They're fine. ECU, you know what? If we're going to give it to anybody, give it to fucking East Carolina. Good for them. They had a big game, and they pulled it out. Actually, are showing up. Actually want to play fucking football. They fucking suck this year. Damn near every other school in the state that has a football team sucks this year. Whoever wins the 8A state title, the 8A or 7A state title this year, give them the fucking state championship this year for whoever owns the state. These teams fucking suck.
Yeah, what does owning the state actually get you in the grand scheme of things? Maybe a T-shirt, maybe a bumper sticker.
Well, for Manny Diaz, it's a statue of a pig that he created.
There is that. That's still on the table for them.
Yeah, well, they're 1-0 and they're in the Big Vortex.
We'll see what happens on Saturday between them and the Tar Heels. But yeah, ECU with a big win on Saturday. They kind of got lost in the sauce with what we were talking about on Saturday. People are so excited about this. I had somebody share this. This is from Yes, I Am a Pirate. I know this person is a listener. Dan, ranking the North Carolina FBS teams per ESPN's FPI. ECU is number 1. Duke is number 2. State 3rd. Wake 4th. UNC is 5th. App State 6th. And of course, Charlotte, the Dregs.
The less said about Charlotte, the better. You think the ACC standings are confusing? Well, let me introduce you to the American Conference, Joe. We have 4 teams with 1 loss. You ready for this wrinkle? Navy right now is 6-1 in the American. They play at Memphis next week. Do you know who they closed the season with? Navy?
Mm-hmm.
Army?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what that game does not do?
I don't.
Count towards the American standings.
Okay.
Do you realize Army and Navy are in the same conference, right?
So it's like the State Virginia game.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Army, Navy, State Virginia. Same thing.
Got it.
Yeah, same thing.
Pomp, circumstance,
yeah,
you name it.
I mean, I know that one, brings out all sorts of patriotic feelings, and there's like this, there's this like all this pomp and circumstance around. I get all that stuff, but I feel the same thing about Virginia and NC State when they play non-conference.
So Navy goes to Memphis. Navy's at 6-1. If they win that game, they would be 7-1 in the American. You have Tulane, 5-1. They have games against Temple and the aforementioned 49ers. North Texas, 5-1. They close with Rice and Temple. Temple could be playing a big factor here. And then ECU is 5-1 with road trips to Texas San Antonio, and FAU.
Mm-hmm.
Now, looking for those common opponents, ECU unfortunately lost to Tulane. Navy unfortunately lost to North Texas. So let's go back to the gambling line. North Texas right now at 5-1 is minus 150 to win the American. Tulane is plus 200 to win the American. ECU is plus 1,100 to win the American. They're basically saying they probably will win those final two games, but they will lose the tiebreak to Tulane. And then Navy, who is sitting there at 6-1, plus 1,400 to win the American because of the difficulty of the trip to Memphis, and then also not having that tiebreak against North Texas.
So
crazy, right?
So you're saying there's a chance.
I'm saying you thought the ACC was complicated. I'm telling you, you need to go spend a couple minutes over in the American because...
Who am I supposed to put $5 on is the question.
I would put it on the Pirates. Why not?
All right.
Put it on Pirates and Navy. Why not?
Yeah, I don't know about Navy. I'm more of a...
What is your bang for your buck?
I'm more of an Army guy. I'm more of a Coast Guard guy.
Okay, that's fair.
Than anything else. Did they have a football team?
I don't think so. They might have a 7-on-7 team.
They have a flag football rec team.
Yeah. No, they have the flyweight division.
All right, so I have exactly $6.44 in my DraftKings account right now.
Okay.
So what you're telling me to do is to let me pull up the American here. The American.
If you believe in Temple,
I don't believe in Temple.
Well, then I would not put $5.
I don't believe in Temple. So conference winner. I've got East Carolina currently plus 1,100. I'm going to put $5 down on that. $5 gang, Pirates, don't let me down. Because that'll pay out like $120.
There we go.
It's not too bad. Let's go back to the sports phone. Let's go to a 919.
Well, another road trip. I didn't drive all the way home.
This is Steve. Steve, who's the sicko who goes to all these road games. Yeah, drove to Miami. Good times.
I would have drove into the ocean if I would have. Luckily, the casino was there to pass the time. What a performance of not getting across midfield until the final drive. We were in a cheer mode when we got to 100 total yards on that drive. What an embarrassing day. I mean, we should be I don't even know what to say about how terrible everything about that was. So, but I may be the only person who saw final road game for our basketball and football coach. There weren't many state fans at Miami basketball last year. There were a few state football fans at this one, but at Miami, Keats and Doran back-to-back years. Give me a plaque or something. Free mental health days off or something. I'm not sure.
Well, I'm glad he didn't try to drive home from Miami.
That's a good. I did not know that Reaper fun fact about Steve, that apparently he witnessed the last road game for Keats, which was
loss at Miami.
At Miami, and now this one down at Joe Robbie Stadium.
I don't know what you're talking about. There's a 15-year plan. So
a 15-year plan?
Yep.
What is this 15-year plan you speak of?
I advanced the 15-year plan on the
on Saturday on the After Dark. Yeah, sure. Just throw the game against Miami, so you stay here at NC State. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Yeah, sure, right, fine, whatever. I think we could come up with a shirt for Steve.
Oh yeah,
do an NC State Reaper. That's what he is. He's the cooler,
the Wolfpack cooler.
The Wolfpack cooler. Let's go to another 919.
Hey y'all, long time, first time. I'm just driving on Sunday morning to pick up my son from his grandparents and thinking about Dave getting embarrassed on national TV for the 75th time or whatever it is. And I'm just wondering, I know his buyout's a lot and he's got 4 years left on his contract, but at what point does the money you're losing by missing out on conference expansion because we keep getting pantsed on national TV in these big games when we have an opportunity to show that we're a serious football school. Like, where does the money that we're going to lose from that factor into how much the buyout's going to cost for them? So, I don't know. Just curious what y'all think. Thanks.
I mean, the concept of national TV is an antiquated one. So I get what they're saying. There is now a incentive for viewership and stuff like that. But
I think that actually, so I understand what you're saying. What is national television in 2025 and beyond? I get what you're saying. But the issue here is that the conferences have trained fans to care about things that go beyond the actual results on the field. And it warps your brain. And I find it odd that we're concerned with things that have nothing to do with you're 5 steps ahead. Like how, and this is true, by the way, of NC State and Carolina. You're 5 steps ahead.
Right.
How about, hear me out, baby steps. Be consistently good before you start worrying about this. Be consistently good before you start worrying about something else. Let's handle some stuff locally first before you start talking about some national stuff. Because the national stuff doesn't matter right now. Anyway, let's go to a 919.
What's going on, guys? Just another disappointed, well, I can't even say disappointed State fan because I knew this was going to be happening. This was going to happen down in Miami. But I think why everyone's obviously everyone's mad that we lost and got our ass kicked. But I think everyone's just like, this is 10 times worse than us going down to like Death Valley or, somewhere that we know we're going to lose and get our shit kicked in. But it's Miami in November. Did I expect us to win? Absolutely not. But I expected it to be a football game. Oh, CJ Bailey's returning home. He's going to showcase his talents for his future home next year. I thought and I know you guys made a great point. Hell, Dorn probably cut half the playbook and then memory washed Kurt Roper and CJ Bailey during practice this week and said, forget how to play football so that he could have them for the next 3 years, 2 years, whatever it is. But yeah, I think everyone's just more upset the fact that we got our shit kicked in by Miami. If it was like a Clemson, at Death Valley or, even Florida State maybe at their place, whatever. But, damn.
There's your 15-year plan.
It's all part.
All part of the 15-year plan, Joe. All part of the plan. Let's go to a 704.
Taking a day to think about this Wolfpack loss. Ultimately, it's just discouraging because the offense, which is apparently where all the money goes to, can't get past the 50-yard line. The defense holds up to the best of its ability. But I don't know what the solution is to this other than, money. If we fire Doran and then you put in a new coach, then who's paying for the talent that Miami's got on their line and that, Clemson, Florida State apparently be putting out for, but they're not producing. And I don't know how you move forward from this because in the new age of college sports, you don't build a team. It's just what you can purchase that year and what you can keep on. And NC State is just such a step behind in what it all cost. And it's like, well, hey fan base, I need you to put money in. And I've got 3 kids and these things are expensive. You're talking about $5,000 for junior canes. I got some mixture of that with Little League and YMCA sports and school, and I'm not putting money towards this. Like if I gave $1,000 2 years ago for Casey Concepcion, like Doran wanted us to, for what? He didn't do anything. He's just waiting it out to go to A&M, get paid the big bucks, and then really start producing. So, I mean, am I supposed to go Boston College and just
shut down my fandom and just be done because I'm just discouraged. Hopefully, the basketball team can do something on Monday to make me feel good. You know, we've had these 3 cupcakes, and we've done everything you're supposed to do to cupcakes. It'd be nice if we could have a solid win against ECU, make me and other fans feel like there's something to look forward to for the next few months, because football is just not keeping up. That was not a good team. It hasn't been a good team all year.
I mean, they were good against Georgia Tech. You saw what they could be. They were good against ECU. They were good against Virginia. They were good against Wake Forest. So, yeah, I feel your pain from their performance on Saturday for sure. I mean, that's frustrating. But again, to me, my number one takeaway from that game is like, Miami, what are you doing? For real, what are you doing?
I agree with you on that one. I would also say too, what I would say to a call like that is it ties into the.
He's 1,000% right about NIL, by the way.
Yes,
1,000,
and that's what I was getting at. In that, NC State is living the life that 99% of college football programs are going to have to live going forward. And you're going to have to recalibrate what it is that you feel makes for a great season. And I think that's a healthy conversation to have, because you got to be honest about what NC State's future is as a college football program. And I also think this also leads to the conclusion that regardless of how the year ends, Boo Corrigan has to just go ahead and reboot the football program. Has to reboot it because of all these things. I know you're making a face, but if we're being upfront about where things are, they have hit a stagnation point.
Sure.
And to that caller's point, if you're asking for money, you're asking for all these commitments and whatnot, you've already seen what a Dave Doran program is, and you're going to need somebody new to have a vision and a way to connect with fans in a different way that will then kind of reinvigorate the interest in the football program. If you're going to recalibrate and your expectations are, hey man, clean football program, they consistently win X amount, they go to bowl games, there's NFL talent that goes, and you can kind of, and they keep beating Carolina. If you're comfortable with that, well then yeah. And you keep Dave Doran comes back every year.
Yeah.
But that's not where we're at. And that's why I say the administration just has to look at this honestly, soberly, and say, yeah, forever grateful for the last 13 years, but we're going to need a reboot just to reboot. Sometimes you need a refresh. You get tired of looking at the same paint in your house for 10 years. Well, it's time to refresh it. Go with something new. Clean slate. Let's go to a 252.
Hey, Joe's. Big fan of the show, but I was driving home and was listening to some UNC podcasts about the Wake Forest game over the weekend. And I wanted to get your thoughts on 2 topics in the podcast. One was that the ACC has it out for Bill Belichick, and that the refs are against him and are making ridiculous calls because they have Bill Belichick on it. The second topic is that he thought that when they leave the ACC, that they will be treated much better in the SEC. But my favorite one was the third one. There was 3 of them. The third best one, which I think Ovies will appreciate, we have moved on from those first 4 games were Bill's get ready games, and we're going to be really good the rest of the way. The best topic was this was a practice season. The whole season was for practice, and we still haven't seen Bill Belichick's coaching genius. So just wanted to get your thoughts on that. Thought you would enjoy it. Thanks, guys. Keep up the good work.
Okay. First and foremost, I need to know what podcast this was. This does not sound like Andrew Jones and Jacob Turner at Tar Heel 24/7. This does
the last point I think might be right.
Hold on a second. This does not sound like something that Inside Carolina would produce.
Sure.
That does not sound like something that those 2 outlets would produce. This sounds like a fan podcast, so I need to know the podcast, and I got to check this out just to like hear it to believe it, right? Let's address the last one, that this is some sort of practice season. Get the fuck out with that. You don't have time for practice seasons. How long do you think Bill Belichick's going to be there?
Well, it just implies that there's something to build on for next year.
What is there to build on?
What kind of roster continuity is there actually going to be?
There's not going to be one because Mike Lombardi said straight up they are investing in freshmen as though they're going to sign them all to 4-year contracts and they're going to be here building up towards a super senior season for all these guys.
And from what we've seen from Gio Lopez, by the way, it's kind of like Elliot Cadeau. If they do, they can't bring him back. He can't be their quarterback next year.
No, look,
he's not good enough. But what he said, we haven't seen the true coaching genius of Bill Belichick yet. That part was right.
We're not going to. That man did not look like he wanted to be there, especially after the game, after he just got embarrassed by Jake Dickert. So, and I don't see how this is going to play out. They got to win their next 2 games just to make a bowl game, for heaven's sake. That ain't happening. I don't see them winning these 2 games. I know you're making a face. I just don't see this happening. If they do, hey, man, I don't know. I'll come up with some sort of bet. I'll drink 2 old. I'll go back and I'll double fist 1982 blue soda if they win these next 2 games. I don't know. I'll go to the emergency room for that. Look, what I was going to say was, I understand that for the Carolina fans in our audience, that I specifically have come off very negative around UNC and Bill Belichick specifically. Part of the reason why I'm upset, or the reason why I go about it the way that I do, is that Carolina really had an opportunity this offseason, if they were going to be serious about football, to go out and pull a Kurt Signetti, if you will. It's the best example I can make.
Or Jake Dickert.
Right. Okay. So that's why I sound the way that I do, is because Carolina actually had a legitimate opportunity if they were going to invest like they said they were going to invest in football.
Well, no, they did invest.
No, they did, but but
that wasn't to say that was a real investment.
That was a real investment, but they did it in winning press conferences. The investment came in the form of winning a press conference and feeling good about yourself and slapping yourself on the back that we ended up getting Bill Belichick.
I was going to say, it wasn't the press conference. It was the concept of hiring the coach with 6 Super Bowls.
And that, once again, illustrates to me that you are not a serious program. You're not serious about football. And I think that's another frustration that boils over when we talk about UNC. And I will admit that a lot of it has to do with the responses we get to what we talk about, whether it's on social media, YouTube comments, Instagram comments. I get that we're dealing with fans that are always looking for positive and positive only. I get all that.
Sure.
I understand that element exists, but you can't sit here and tell me that, oh, this is a legitimate sentiment that it's a practice season, or he quote unquote just got there, or wait till he builds his culture. These are things that are not compatible with the current state of college football. Also, have you ever stopped
this culture without Tom Brady?
Well, that's the other thing I was about to say. What about this makes you feel that some cultures, what if this is the culture? You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
And this is what, and I'll close the conversation about UNC on this. I give the players a lot of credit. We saw this unfold Saturday night in Winston-Salem. And I know Michael Coe wrote about this over at Chapelboro, and he deserves a lot of credit for just calling it out. You saw Jordan Shipp address the media. You saw Bill Belichick address the media. When Jordan Shipp's addressing the media, you see a mature guy who understands we got to keep these things somewhat positive. There's still some football left to be played. We got huge rivalry games. And Shipp even himself says, hey, man, that Duke game's personal. So there's a separate conversation to be had, in terms of a prompt. You want to talk about an OG sports phone prompt. Super Bowl for Carolina. Is it Duke?
It wasn't Wake Forest.
Wasn't Wake, but is it Little Billy's first words were beat Duke? So this Saturday is the Super Bowl? Or is it NC State? Which one of these has to be the Super Bowl? Which one is it?
Got to pour it out for one of them.
Which one's it going to be? Well, Jordan Shipp sounded like a guy who wants to pour it out against Duke. Got it. But the point is that he is the most mature one here.
Sure.
Whereas Bill Belichick can't even answer the question of, so why did you call a timeout in that situation? Why did you call a timeout when it was fairly obvious that Jake Dickert was just going to run the clock out? And his attitude was, well, we're still playing. I mean, we could block a kick. I don't know what they were doing there. Okay, I got a lot of questions.
Big Greg Schiano.
Yeah, play to the end of the whistle. So you're telling me you're down 2 scores with 26 seconds to go, and you're of the opinion that you're going to be able to turn this thing around?
That they're going to attempt to kick up 2 scores. That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense to me. They're going to run that clock out. So Belichick doesn't look like a guy who you can really put your arms around right now. It just sounds like things are they're just negative, and you cannot do that. And that's where I give the players a lot of credit for keeping it positive the way that they have with these 2 games remaining.
I think you go back to the first part of that call, the referees. I'll be honest with you. I listened to the second quarter of that game in my car driving over to the arena. And I think Bryn Renner, I've always respected Bryn and everything that he went through in his career at UNC.
Great. Yeah.
And he was talking about a couple of the calls. And I was like, obviously, I did not have the benefit. I get it. It's their radio. I totally get it. But Jones Angel does an unbelievable job, first of all. But they're both talking about it like, hey, we know it was called like this on the field. Very, very logical conversation, but they were also like, that's a terrible spot, or like, there's no way that's. So think about it. Let's not act like, I'm not going to go full conspiracy theory. I'm just going to say, let's think about it like normal sports fans, which, by the way, referees are. You can't not be a sports fan and be a referee.
Sure.
Right? Like, I don't think ACC, if they don't have to, because they're not good enough, quite frankly. But there is a human element there of who knows if they're a Bills fan? Who knows if they're a Jets fan? Who knows what they are? Because a couple of these calls are a bit curious. A couple of them. You know what I mean? Like, everyone else is taking great pleasure in Bill's demise and struggles on the college level. Why couldn't a referee here or there have a stray moment where they're like, fuck you, man. I'm a Seahawks fan. Like, I'm being serious right now. So, well, I will get on board with some of that, but to think that you're going to go into the SEC, a league that's run by Alabama and Georgia, and that you're magically going to get treated better in a league run by Alabama and Georgia. No. To be clear, just in case no one knows, just in case no one told you, the only reason NC State, UNC, Duke, Wake Forest, or anyone else, Virginia, would be invited into the SEC would be to be as marks, losers, guaranteed wins. Because when you look at the top of the Big Ten and their standings, and you look at the teams at the bottom, the thing that the SEC is missing right now is marks. Okay.
So I'm running this video that Trayvon Miles over at WTVD had on the field following the North Carolina Wake Forest game. And I'm seeing a lot of Wake Forest players and Carolina players jawing at each other. At the end of this video, it cracked me up because you got some guy in Deke's gear just saying, get off the field, guy. Just walk away. Just walk away. Just take the L and go home. And the reason why I'm playing this video is that I don't see any officials doing this. I don't see any Miami. I didn't see an official rip his stripes off to reveal a Miami Dolphins shirt underneath. I didn't see that. That's why I was running that video. I was just making sure I didn't miss anything after the game. I'm just making sure. All right. One more sports phone call to Duke from our guy, Ben. He's feeling it right now. He's processing his feelings.
Hey guys, it's Ben from Bull City Coordinators calling in about the Duke UVA game, and we had a crowd of 13 people there. Had a good time, saw some family, and as I was driving back home to Roanoke, I had 2.5 hours to think, how should I feel about this game and this season? And it occurred to me, I'm not going to feel bad about this season anymore because, historically, sometimes it takes 3 years for a program to get going. Sometimes there's a second-year slump for coaches. You can go look around and you can easily find that. And that's how I'm going to think about it. But I would make also this larger point. What Diaz did wrong, and I think why so many Duke fans are borderline suicidal at this point, figuratively, of course, is that he had a really good first year, and he tricked us into thinking that this program could be better than it is, that somehow he would get the water level to rise on the program, and these guys could be consistently good. That was his big mistake. He shouldn't have done well his first year. He should have gone like 4-8, 5-7, or whatever, and then we'd be thinking 5-5, all right, we're showing improvement. That was his big mistake. He tricked us and gave us hope and made us believe that Duke football could be more than what it is. So anyway, look, they got 2 chances left to get to a bowl game. Triangle good, triangle good. Anyway, go Canes. Talk to you guys later. Keep up the good work.
I'm going to disagree with that call. Because it's not like here in the Triangle, or really the middle to upper portion of the ACC can't be there for a program like Duke with money to put together a good football program and be consistently good. You see what I'm getting at?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to disagree with that. You're coming off of 2 great years under Mike Elko, who breathed new life into that program. Manny Diaz should have picked the ball up and run with it, which is what last year looked like.
Yeah, but there was a huge roster turnover between those 2 coaches.
I get that.
And a roster turnover this year, too.
Well, what I'm getting at is that Elko showed you, hey, here a completely different mindset around Duke.
Okay.
And even with the roster turnover, you got the money, right? Darian Menza is what? I mean, we always hear about the money Darian Menza's making.
Sure.
Right? So now it becomes, all right, did you make the right decisions with the money? How do you go to the next year and learn from your mistakes and all that other kind of stuff? Or it could just be real simple. Might have not anything to do with Duke and elevating the program, any of that kind of stuff. It could just be that Manny Diaz is who he is as a coach. The Chuckamano is strong in him, just like we saw at Miami.
It is kind of wild to think Ben's right, though. They need to win one more game to qualify for a bowl, whereas if they had won against Virginia, they would have been on track to make the ACC championship game.
Mm-hmm.
That's a wild swing if you think about it.
Big thanks to our friends at Miller Lending. Check them out online at millerlending.com. Call them today at 919-447-3377 or visit them online at millerlending.com. Tell them we sent you. Get the ball rolling. Take that thing to close. You will get a gift basket from our friends at the Butcher's Market. Put a pin in the Butcher's Market. In the meantime, you are wondering, all right, racking up a lot of credit card debt for a variety of reasons. Maybe you're looking at a home remodel in your future. Maybe you refinance for all sorts of reasons earlier. The rates have come down slightly. You're thinking about saving a little bit of money. This is where Miller Lending can walk you through this process. Miller Lending is going to explain to you what the situation is, what your options are, and they might even tell you right now is not the time to refinance. But you got to start the conversation by calling them at 919-447-3377 or visit them online at millerlending.com. Speaking of houses, a lot of inventory out there, a lot of new construction. Maybe you've seen a house sitting on the market for a hot minute. Hey, do you take advantage of that? Maybe you've been thinking about selling your house and you see houses sitting on the market for a long time. Should that give you pause? There's a lot of reasons to ask questions about the current state of the housing market. Even more reason to contact our friends at Hometown Realty. So check them out online at myhtr.com. Again, that's myhtr.com. Whitaker and Hamer, OGs from the jump as corporate champions. Check them out online at wh.lawyer. We're talking about refinancing and buying houses, selling houses. Maybe you got to take it to close. Whitaker and Hamer can do that for you. Maybe you're like Joe Giglio. Anytime you get on the road, chances are you might get a traffic violation. They can handle those types of things as well. One-stop shop for all your legal needs. So check them out online at wh.lawyer. And speaking of experts, Brassfield Accounting. Check them out online at brassfieldaccounting.com. In Homer, Alaska. And where, Joe?
RTP, right here.
What is a fractional CFO?
Fractional CFO is someone who's going to help you with your billing, with your HR, with your invoices, with your reconciling your transactions. All sounds easy, but let me tell you.
As somebody has to look at the books, let me tell you. No,
let me tell you.
It is not easy. So check them out online at brassfieldaccounting.com. So you covered the Canes on Saturday, or actually Friday and Saturday.
Correct.
As they get ready.
A lot of hockey time.
A lot of hockey time. A lot of time around Rod Brindamore, listening to Rod Brindamore. I thought it was very appropriate that you were there on Saturday night to watch Connor McDavid and Draisaitl do the thing that Rod Brindamore probably looks wistfully across from the bench and goes, "Man,
if only,
right?" Because look, I go to the sports phone. For instance, I got this call from a 619.
Svechnikov is back.
Maybe. Svechnikov
played ball on Friday. Yes.
Svechnikov has been playing.
No, he played ball on Friday.
Ever since I said, hey, maybe it's time to trade Svechnikov, he's kind of turned a corner there and has been doing the thing. But even then, deep down, Rod's looking across the ice and going, man, look at those guys. So much so he told Adam what in the pregame?
Yeah, pregame Saturday.
Yeah,
listening. You eat upstairs now.
Yeah.
There's nothing downstairs. It's all upstairs.
Yeah.
So you're in the hallway, and in the hallway, the pregame show is on in over the loudspeaker. And I hear Adam's very familiar voice talking to Rod. There were some questions about Seth Jarvis, like, hey, is he going to be okay? Scary moment where he got a stick from Svetch inadvertently in the Vancouver game, missed most of Friday's game. Was he going to play? Oh, he's going to give it a go, and we're going to need him. And Adam's like, yeah. And then Rod goes, we're playing a team that has two of the best to ever play the game.
I'm sorry, ever
play the game.
Not,
and he goes,
not the two guys who are doing it the best right now.
No.
The best ever.
And he goes, I know. No, this is Rod. He says in the same thought, I know because I've played against the best and they're that good. And I was like, might need to put a call into Rusty to see if I can get the audio of that so that we could use it, because it went from two of the best of the game, and everyone knows Connor McDavid is. I mean,
of course,
he's not breaking news there.
And Dreisaitl's that dude.
It's obviously his love of Draisaitl that has gotten. And so if you're watching on the YouTubes, you'll see I love Chris Knoblaw, the Edmonton coach, because every game, every series, he's like, I'm going to put one on the one line, then I'm going to put one on the second line. It's 2-2 to start the third period. And look, lo and behold, who's on the ice together? Fully formed Voltron. And I was like, oh. And sure enough, Draisaitl sets up McDavid to give them a lead in the third period. Great goal from Jordan Stahl, tied the game, forced the overtime. And then I'm not going to lie to you. I know Rod had his pants on, but I was under a table. I almost took my pants off in overtime because the Oilers had McDavid, Draisaitl, and Bouchard on the ice together. And the Canes obviously had Aho.
Yeah.
I think it was Ehlers and Gostisbehere. Gostisbehere's been playing out of his gourd.
It's nice to have him back.
Out of his gourd.
Yeah, it's nice to have him
But I'm sitting here going, I would watch. Who's banging over here about? What is it? Me or is it you?
It's you.
Gosh darn. I'm sitting here watching that. It was only 40 seconds of overtime, and I was on camera. You saw me, but I was like, oh, would you look? I would watch 82 games of this. Absolutely. Are you kidding?
Let's go back to the sports mode.
Hey, OG, NC State moderator here. Calling in to see if y'all could do the Canes a favor and do some kind of curse reverse. Clearly it worked for NC State, and I think y'all need to find some kind of solution to these injury problems, because we clearly are cursed in that category right now. We might need to burn the Miko jersey. As much as you don't want to, Ovies, I think that might be a solution. Unless if you can come up with something better.
No.
Also, Ovies, do you want to walk back your trade Svechnikov for Panarin take?
Oh.
I wouldn't mind trading Svechnikov if it means getting like a true bona fide like right shot center to add, but Artemi Panarin, that's like the least Canes, Rod era Canes player of all time. Because homie does not like to play defense. But anyways, tough to see Jarry go down like he did. That sucked.
So the Canes have been dealing with the injuries. I get all that kind of stuff. I don't think they've had the same defensive lineup in all of but maybe 3 games this season, as we've reached a quarter point of the NHL year. I know that Ryan Henkel had footage of Jalen Chatfield practicing as they're getting ready to go on this road trip. Does that mean he's going to participate in this road trip? No, just that it's a good sign that Chatfield looks that he's coming back. There's still some questions about Jacob Slavin and what's going on with him. What's the path forward with Jacob Slavin? When are we going to see him back on the ice as that mystery continues? The Canes are kind of a glass half full, glass half empty situation right now. You give the Canes an immense amount of credit for having one of the better records in the NHL this season, knowing full well, as the NC State moderator pointed out, they have not been at full strength, both at the forward or the defensive side. You throw in the goalie stuff, right? Kochetkov has missed time. You're wondering if Freddie Anderson might get hurt at some point. Even if you're talking about healthy guys, are they playing well enough to justify positive feelings going into the postseason? Is the defense playing well enough that once we get into the postseason, they can clamp down and win tighter games. Because that's really where we are with the Hurricanes. And I know I'm kind of a broken record with this. In the regular season, I have no doubts. The question becomes, are you going to take that next step once you get into the postseason, where things understandably get tighter? And the Svechnikov thing, I own the fact that a while back I said straight up, maybe it's time to move on from Andrei Svechnikov. The reason why I focus on that, one, we've seen Svechnikov already when we think it's going to be Svechy time, and it's not. So that tells me with Rod going, oh man, these are some of the best guys to ever do it. You want him to talk about his own players like that, and he never does as it relates to somebody who's supposed to be that guy, like Andrei Svechnikov. We've been waiting and waiting and waiting. Man, the waiting time is over. You got to, let's do this already. When we're already seeing it at a guys like Draisaitl and McDavid and whoever else Rod wants to pump up when he sees them. Okay.
Celebrini.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Another one of his favorites.
He has his guys who are his favorites, right? So there's that. The other thing, too, is that the Canes have an opportunity to completely reshape who they are and how they want to go about these things with the cap space that they have and the assets that they have. And I will say this, though, to get back to the glass half full side of things when it comes to the Carolina Hurricanes. Okay? And maybe this is just Tulsky in his bag waiting to strike. They don't have to do anything. They've won enough. They've shown enough that they don't have to do anything right now. There's no move of desperation for them. And they can be very judicious in how they want to add to their team once they get enough guys back. They can add to their team an actual position of need, like that second center. I get that Logan Stankoven's been a great story to start the season. But again, that's regular season. We still don't know what it's going to be like in the postseason. And you don't want to find out in this upcoming postseason. So I would rather the Canes make moves that position themselves for the postseason now, rather than getting answers to the Logan Stankoven question at the worst time possible. You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
So the Canes, this to me, as we move along with the Canes, we are at an inflection point for the future of this franchise. They've done a very, very good job of putting themselves in position to have cracks at it. Well, we've seen the results of those cracks. And I am curious, with all the cap space that they have, the assets that they have, if they don't truly shake up who they are this season as we approach the trade deadline. See what I'm getting at? This could be an inflection point for the team. That's just how I see things going. Because if it's more of the same, you gotta know what the answer is.
Well, the only thing I would push back on is in the East, given the health of the Florida Panthers. Who is actually out there if you're the Hurricanes that you're scared of in the East?
In the East, who's the monster?
Right?
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
So you feel like if I keep this group relatively intact, they weren't good enough to beat the Panthers last year, but the Panthers aren't the Panthers anymore.
Right.
So now that doesn't change whether it's Edmonton and Draisaitl and McDavid who come back here in June, or if it's Jack Eichel and the Knights who come here in June. It doesn't change. You're going to be at a disadvantage if you see those teams. You know, I kind of want to be in the room when Tom Dundon finds out that in the NBA, there's only one way to win. I kind of want to be there when he figures that out.
You need dudes?
No, you there ain't no Corsi helping you in the NBA.
That's what I'm saying. You need dudes.
And it's kind of funny if you think about it in the context of the NHL. The Hurricanes have been statistical, analytical darlings or all the way to Vegas, all the way. Las Vegas, bookmakers, sports books, right? But ultimately, they keep running into teams where you're like, damn, if only we had one of those. Damn, if only we did this. Damn, if only we had. And so ultimately, I think that all the answers kind of come out the same way, right? I think they're right in a bubble. Yeah, you don't need one of the three best goalies to win the cup. I agree.
You're absolutely right.
You know, you do need depth. Remember the famous, Steve Politi line from the playoffs last year. Man, if only the Devils had all of this depth. Yes, you need depth. Yes, you need an outstanding defense, which they've had. But ultimately, you got to score. You got to score in tough moments. In your power play, Rod lamenting the power play is always about the skill on that power play. So that's where we are.
One more call from a 919. Speaking of the power play.
Look, Carolina Hurricanes. I know there's a lot of factors going around. I know that Slavin is hurt, our best player. I know that we're expecting a 2C and another top 4 defenseman this season. That's not a guarantee, but got a lot of good feelings about it. Hopefully that can happen. I get all that. This team has a lot of flaws, and it's the same flaws that have been haunting the Carolina Hurricanes throughout the Rod Brind'Amour era. And I'm not hating on Brind'Amour or saying anything about it. He is the man for the job. But we do have a serious special teams problem. These past few games, wins and losses alike, should not have been as close if we made more of our power play opportunities. Our power play system is busted, and we need a new power play coach yesterday.
So is it the coach, is it the system, or is it the dudes?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not going to defend the Hurricanes power play in the entirety of Rod Brind'Amour's tenure, but
yeah,
I do think that gets back to skill.
Yeah.
And I love what Gostisbehere is doing right now. Some Canes fans might cringe at this, but he reminds me of Teuvo Teravainen. I like the way that he plays. I like the way that he passes. I like the way that he thinks the game. And you can get away with that as a defenseman, the way that he plays. With Teuvo, it was like, will you please shoot? Yeah. You can't be all by yourself. I also thought Friday's game fell under the axiom of hockey's dumb. Right? Like Vancouver had 4 shots in the first period. 2 of them were uncontested by themselves turnovers. Like Sean Walker had a terrible game on Friday. Terrible. And Vancouver made 2 of their 4 shots. I'm talking 2 uncontested. Hey, you're an NHL player. Well, yes, you're about to beat a goalie from 5 feet away on an uncontested shot. Like that's just how the world works. Like I said, I actually like their power play, and I actually like the way that they played on Saturday. Again, Gostisbehere is adding a different element. I'm not going to judge the Hurricanes without Jacob Slavin, though. Never mind Chatfield sitting behind me both of those nights too. So,
thanks to everybody who saw Seth Jarvis up in the press box, and you were in that photo. You were on Reddit. You were over social media, and people were tagging me. I'm like, yes, I can confirm that that's Giglio. Is that what you're asking me to confirm?
His eyesight is good.
Is that what you're asking me to confirm?
Sure his glasses.
Yes, that is Giglio. He is up there. Oh, you want to know about Seth Jarvis? That's neither here nor there. It's funny. You're sitting here talking about hockey is dumb. I had that exact conversation with Jacob yesterday, in which their second game against the North Carolina Golden Bears, they lost that game 4-2. But I said to him, I'm like, look, man, go look at the stats that the stat dads put together, and then go look at a typical Big Canes game. You guys were in their zone a good chunk of the time. You outshot them. You had plenty of opportunities. But, the puck went off the post. The puck bounced kind of funny, and it didn't carom off the stick the way you wanted it to. Where have we seen this before? I'm like, buddy, hockey's dumb. You decided to fall in love with one of the dumbest sports on the planet, where you can outplay somebody and still lose because, you know what? Puck didn't feel like cooperating today. That's hockey, baby. My best John Forsland. That's hockey, baby. Speaking of local things and dumb, we're done with our Reckoning Alert days. We'll get out of here on this. We'll talk a little bit more Carolina. We'll talk a little bit more about basketball tomorrow, but we got NC State VCU tonight. It's a Reckoning Alert day.
It is. It's relatively low. But
what's our record from a level of 1 to 83? What do we have?
We have 11. Today is a Reckoning Alert 11.
Why is it a Reckoning Alert 11?
Because in 2011, while Debbie Yao was looking for a new basketball coach, Shaka Smart took VCU from the first 4 to the final 4. An assistant on that VCU staff with Shaka Smart was Will Wade. Wade, who tried to convince Shaka Smart, no, you should really take that job because we can go down there and we can recruit. We can get it done. Well, Shaka ended up at Texas. Will ended up at LSU, but eventually back here at NC State now. He spent 6 years at VCU.
I know.
Shaka too, as he became the head coach after Shaka had left for Texas. So a nice little homecoming, a nice little reunion for Will Wade against. I hope VCU brings their band tonight, but they probably won't. But their band is phenomenal. The Peppas.
We're running out of time here. We'll spend some more time talking about ACC hoops tomorrow with NC State VCU. North Carolina getting a win over Central on Friday.
Yeah.
Caleb Wilson with yet another post-game banger of a soundbite, which I love to see that. We'll run some of that. The Kansas Triangle Tour continues.
They get it. And they're getting the Blue Devils. We get a Champions Classic finally. Little late on that Champions Classic, but I like it.
It's fine. I know, who knows? It might start a little bit later because we have to have the college football playoff committee rankings in between the Champions Classic.
I know.
So that's always in play. But if you are going to the NC State game tonight, if you're going to the Carolina Hurricanes in the future when they're back from their road trip, may I suggest you get some Two Roosters. During the Hurricanes games, you get to Slavin Sunday. It's what, $16?
Oh, you can get it at state games too.
You get Slavin Sunday at the state games too?
Yeah.
Either way, it's the best deal in the building. It's what, $16? Very, very shareable. You're going to walk out of there super full. It's a lot of food, and it's very, very good. So check out tworoosters.com and find out the rotating flavors for November. I think you're running out of time this week to get your orders.
I put my order
in. Pie.
I'm excited about the pumpkin roll. I'm not going to lie.
I'm getting the chocolate chess pie, ice cream pie. And of course, that pumpkin roll, which I put an order in for that as well. But check out Two Roosters in the building. It is the best deal you're going to get. In the meantime, pick up all your goodies for the holidays as well at Two Roosters. Also, big thanks to Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. You can check them out online at bugsbite.com. You're probably not thinking about mosquitoes right now, but you got to think about the family that's coming to visit. The last thing you want is for your in-laws to be in your house. And they're like, oh,
what does that smell?
Their house is infested with roaches.
Oh,
disgusting.
Oh,
you don't want that.
With the mold and
you don't want that. So you get Bugs Bite to take care of it. To your point about the mold, you don't want, you know how in-laws can get sometimes.
Roaches, you get me with that one every time.
Or, the in-laws come over like, why is it musty? This room is too damp. Well, you know what? You get a moisture barrier. That's what Bugs Bite. Go to bugsbite.com and find out more. And of course, as we mentioned, the Butcher's Market. Check them out online at thebutchersmarkets.com. You can get your catering needs taken care of there. You can get some OG Light at select Butcher's Markets. You can get everything that you need for the holidays. You can also get your holiday catering for the office done, so you can actually show your employees that you care about them. That's what matters. So head on over to thebutchersmarkets.com. And I mentioned OG Light. Yes, you can get OG Light at Longleaf.
You got to ask for it, right?
Yeah, you got to ask
for the special menu right now.
Right now, it's not on the menu, but I do know they have it.
Okay.
So if you go to Longleaf and you say, sir, madam, may I have your coldest OG Light? They will bring you a can of OG Light at Longleaf Swine. So check them out, longleafswine.com. Be on the lookout for things related to Longleaf, because as we are entering into basketball season, we're going to have something really nice.
Looking forward to that.
Once March comes around. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for today's show. We'll see y'all tomorrow.